Y'all ready for this?
Okay. The state. Is the key to the whole puzzle. In this country, the states are sovereign. Okay? And the states is the people. That's the definition of the state. Okay. And the state must control a territory or land in order to be a state. Must have control over territory and land. Okay? It also must control a certain body of people. Body of people. And it must also create a economy. Okay. So when we talking about states, we got to understand this formula right here. Number one, the state, and anytime somebody talking about a state, they talking about the people. So when we saying that the state must have control over a territory and land, we talking about the people got to control a territory and land. When we saying the state must have control over a certain body of people, that means these people got control over themselves and others like them. The people. Because the citizen or whoever it is are part of the people, are under the control of the people who control that territory or that land. And they must create an economy. And this is how they do, like the prophet say, become industrious. By creating their own economy. They own stores, they own farming, they own everything. They got to create an economy amongst themselves to generate income as well as to generate finance. So that's a state. Now, you have a lot of people that believe, in which it does, it is. You got this? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, a body of politics is a state. And this is where a lot of people get confused at. A lot of Moors want to argue with you. Well, it's a corporate body of politics. A body of politics. What they don't understand is encompass a number of things. It's not just a state. A body of politics is a county. A municipality. A state. Okay? Or a nation. And we want to put, well, municipality is a city, of course. It's a city. And so if you really pay attention, and you see I got city right here, and county, state, nation. Now, this right here would be your federal. This right here is your state ofs. And we know county is county, which will be county of.
Is there a difference between, for example, Illinois State and State of Illinois?
Very big difference. The state, Illinois State is the actual, okay, IL capital is what? The state of. And I lowercase is the actual dirt and grass. And a lot of people is confused in that. They say they from the Republic, and they don't realize when they say they from the Republic, you just basically saying you part of the state of. Because the state of is a republic. Okay? So people getting things confused with, they thinking that state of, which it is a corporation, but it's a corporation that's formed to interact in commerce on behalf of a nation of people, of a people. That's what the government is. The government acts in commerce on behalf of the people. That's what the government does. You got a lot of people, they always talk about they flesh and blood, they flesh and blood. okay, if you flesh and blood, then you can't interact in commerce with these other artificial entities, which means you as a nation of people gotta have an artificial entity to interact in commerce on your behalf, which is called the government. So, when we start getting our understanding right and learn the correct way, we'll begin things to start adding up to us and start making sense. Because right now, a lot of our people are speaking with nonsense instead of common sense. If you're a flesh and blood individual, there's no way that you can interact in commerce with artificial entities. That means you gotta have a spacesuit when you go in space. You gotta have scuba diving gear to go underwater and stay underwater for long periods of time, or you'll drown. Going out of space with no spacesuit, you're gonna suffocate. Okay, you trying to interact in commerce with artificial entities. You can't do that. You gotta have your spacesuit. Your spacesuit is your artificial entity created to interact with those other artificial entities. It's real simple. Okay, so when you start understanding that a government is one of the strongest created corporations that you can create, okay? Our people have to understand that governments enforce laws. Because a government, once created by a nation of people, is that nation of people's business to operate in commerce on their behalf, and it got certain privileges and immunities that the people themselves won't have without this entity. This entity give them those privileges and immunities and everything else that they want. So all true ownership and property come from the state. Nobody own nothing. Nobody. People live in a carnal illusion. They be running around here trying to own stuff. You can't own nothing. The Quran is telling you it's only goods and passing objects. The Quran of Muhammad. There's only goods and passing objects. That means you never own nothing. Ever in your life. Do you ever own anything? So our people is chasing what Noble Ali called carnal illusion. And this will keep us on the bottom. We're not understanding. We got to follow what the prophet say. He said, don't own nothing, control everything. Control it, don't own it. If you own it, you got liability there because you the owner. I trust the Vast Estate Express Trust, any property and anything that we have, being a nation of people, all our property should be going into this Vast Estate Express Trust. Because the trust itself is established for the Moorish American people. So when I pass on and my birth certificate being a bond, the bond don't disintegrate because I pass away. The bond is still worth money. It's floating. And it should, my people, my children should still be able to eat off my bond. If my people as a nation done secured and put that bond into our trust, my children can still eat off that. They can still get parks built off that. They can still get L's built, bus lines, schools built, you name it, hospitals built off that. As a nation though, not as no individuals, as a nation, and my children benefit because what? The government that we established for us as a nation of people is creating opportunity. That's what it does. The government is not selfish. It's only if you put selfish individuals in your seats of government that's running it where the corruption comes in at. There is no corrupt government. It's only corrupt people. A government ain't nothing but a corporation formed on paper.
And so our government is filled with trustees that are corrupt.
There you go. My government not, because I'm part of the United States of American Republic and my government got lawful Moors sitting in the seat. You see what I'm saying? So all those Moors that's not doing under the law, what's required under the law, to get from under that 14th Amendment status, because they're not following the footsteps of their prophet and really diagnosing what he's saying. And a lot of them, and I'm saying this for the record so Moors know, a lot of Moors don't view things in the right light. And there's reasons for that. No purposely fault of their own. Same thing with the Sheiks. How do you expect somebody born in the 50s or 60s, early 60s, that's in their 60s and 70 years old and late 50s, to be able to teach you things on a level when the time frame that they were born in, the vibrations of the earth was much weaker than now? This is why our kids are more advanced now, because the vibrations in the picture of the earth is steady rising. And as it rises, the kids, they thinking pattern is rising. Right? So how can somebody from way back then in the 50s, and they thought pattern of how they was raised and in the era they was raised, do anything for you in this era with that understanding? It don't help. You see what I'm saying? Like they got a movie called The Butler. And in the movie, when dude was young growing up, the plantation owner, even though slavery was over, he came out there, grabbed the man's wife, took her in the thing and raped her, and came back out, and the son looked at the daddy like,
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? And he said, excuse me, sir. The man turned around and shot him dead. Wasn't nothing they could do about it. So by him witnessing that at the age and in the time frame and years that he grew up, he was subservient to Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. So his son becoming part of the Black Panthers and becoming part of the Freedom Riders, they felt that their son was an outlaw. He was a criminal. You violating the law. The law is saying separate.
Mm-hmm.
But he's standing on moral values and principles. No, ain't no separate. Ain't none of that. They slap him everything, throw the man out the house. It ain't until later that the father see that he's recognized as a national hero. These freedom riders is national heroes, standing for what's right. Then he go apologize to his son, hug his son, everything. But before that, his mindset was, man, you don't do that. You don't challenge these people. These people will kill you. You don't do this. You don't. So now we're in the time frame where the pitch and vibration of the earth is speeding up and the kids are fearless. They don't have that fear that you had because you was born in the 50s and went through a time frame of these Europeans doing anything they wanted to do to you and you couldn't do nothing about it. So the elders that's in Moor Science Temple of America, they supposed to take a back seat, not being shelved, but being in the back and allowing the youth to fight the fight now. And they supposed to sit back there in the back seat and give direction. But they got to open their ears and their eyes and learn to hear and see what the youth is talking about. Because the youth got a whole totally different perspective than what they got. Because they born in the time frame of the knowing. And if you don't do what the master teachers say, y'all sure, if you don't become like a child again, you'll never see the kingdom. Why? Why do he say that? You got to start learning all over again like a child, and if you ain't willing to, you got to get in that back seat. Because you're not going to push the prophet's agenda. Because your mindset ain't there to push the prophet's agenda. So in the back seat you go. We're going to show you what the prophet really was on. What the true agenda is. Because Moor Science Temple of America is not the true agenda. That's not the true agenda. Out the prophet's own mouth, he's saying it. He said, I took what I bought you and I enshrouded it in religion to keep the Europeans from molesting what I bought you. Now look the word enshrouded up and see what it tells you. It's going to say hidden from plain view. Hidden from plain view. Moor Science Temple of America is not hidden. It's out in the open. It's something that's inside of that demonstration that he set up, that he hid from plain view, which is our state. We a nation. We're a state. He bought it and reestablished our state for us. So if in the temple, which our elders do, which is keep pushing temple, and I could go to the temple for the next 5 or 10 years, and we still going over the 101s, we still reading the Quran, we still reading the Moorish literature. This all we doing. When do this temple teach me to go out there in the world and take my place in the affairs of men? Because me reading 101s and me reading the Divine Constitution and me doing all this don't teach me how to go out there in the world and take my place in the affairs of men. This is teaching me about who I am, about self. And I need that teaching. This is what the Moorish Science Temple of America is, a university. That's what the temple is. It's a university. We're being taught. Preachers in the church is preaching. They not teaching. And when you come to the temple, you getting your divine religious rights and understanding of you and your creator and that y'all one. And you getting civics on how to become what? Civics is what? Civics is to teach people how to be good citizens. That's what civics is. So you got a lot of Moors be saying citizen is slave. They don't understand. You got these Hebrew Israelites out on the street, they telling Europeans, yeah, y'all gonna be our slave, y'all going in that cotton field. They don't understand. It's not that type of slavery. Yeah, they gonna be your slave because they gonna be subject to you. And anybody that's subject to something else is a slave. It's not the type of slavery that they had us in. That's not what they're gonna make the whole thing repeat again. This was Moors come into play. This thing not finna repeat again. We finna move on. We finna have peace on this earth. That's what it's about. That's the uplifting of fallen humanity that we as Moors is supposed to be a Jew now into the society. To teach people to stand upright. So, when we start really understanding law, and this is what I was going to say about a lot of Moors, why you got to be careful to the different Moors that you listen to. Because depending on how they grew up, depending on if they done owned businesses before, depending on if they study all forms of law, not just some, all forms of law, depending on their spirituality and their spiritual level, it's going to be on how they're going to teach. You see what I'm saying? I don't expect anybody who ain't never had a business to understand government. It's impossible for you to understand. You don't even understand business. I don't expect somebody that don't know law to understand government. He don't know law. And if he's not studying all the law, if all he doing is going to Taj Tariq Bay site reading case laws, that ain't it. You don't have no understanding. You understand how to read some case laws, that don't give you understanding of the law. And just because you read Supreme Court cases and stuff, don't mean that you know law or understand it, or that your understanding is right. Because you got to understand trust law, you got to understand corporate law, which a lot of Moors don't understand corporate law, because if they did, they know Moorish Science Temple of America can only operate according to the articles of its incorporation. It is a religious corporation. And on the article of incorporation, that affidavit of incorporation, which is the 1010-5905, is telling you that the Moorish Science Temple of America is set up to do what? Uplift fallen humanity, establish missions, and propagate the faith of Ali in America. That's what it's designed for. How do it uplift fallen humanity? By teaching us to be ourselves. Teaching us how to be ourselves. Not be tainted by what society done molded you and groomed you into being. To teach you to love your brother and sister. To go back to that understanding. To love, not hate. You see what I'm saying? So when we start following all our divine principles, which is given to us by our divine ministers and sheiks and grand sheiks and in the temple, this is what the the Moorish Science Temple was designed for. To get you out of the state of mental slavery. That's why the prophet is saying it. If I could only start you back to thinking, you will save yourself, because you're going to begin to understand that you can't save yourself. If you could save yourself, he wouldn't have had to come. You can take the things that he bought you, and once you get the right understanding, you will be able to save yourself. Guess what? He ain't talking to you as no individual. He's talking to us as a nation. He's talking to us as a nation. I can't save me if I don't save my nation. Bottom line, period. And when we all got that understanding, this is how we save ourselves. Not on no individual level. You can't save yourself individually. It don't work like that. He came for a nation. The only way you're going to save yourself is as a nation. Bottom line, period. Ain't no another nation finna listen to you, no individual. Who is you? Man, there's 10,000 of us. You think you finna move us? I don't care about what you saying. Read that paperwork you got, man. It say the people of the state of Illinois versus you. It say the people of the United States versus you. When you gonna get enough sense to come in here saying the people of the United States of America Republic versus the people of the state of Illinois? This how it go, nation to nation. And if you ain't coming at them with no nation, they ain't honoring and respecting you. Why? What do it say in the Bible? It say God had no respect for persons. He only respect nations. He only respect nations. That's what we gotta understand. We gotta reunify into a nation state. Our state is here now. We got our state. Just like Noble Ali said, the Moorish Science Temple of America is lawfully chartered and incorporated in this government. So is our government. Our government is lawfully chartered and incorporated into this government. It's not an incorporation, but a corporation. Okay? So a lot of Moors jump on Facebook and they say different stuff to me with no knowledge. And know what that tell me? When I say no knowledge of the establishment of how I put together the United States of America Republic government for the things that they saying. They need to ask questions. But when they come online and they say certain things to me, and I know they don't know what they're talking about because they have no knowledge of what I've done, that let me know in the door they not what? You ain't reading the prophet's lessons. You're not studying. Because if you were, you wouldn't jump online just blurting out some mess that you have no knowledge of. You had one more jumping online. You need to become a member of the temple, man. You ain't even no member. Man, I've been a member of Moorish Science Temple since 2010. I don't know what he's talking about. So what you're doing is going against our teachers, because what you're doing is trying to tear down my reputation and make it seem to other Moors that I'm not a Moor when I am. And part of a temple. Now, ask me where he get that I'm not part of no temple from, when I live in the temple. You see what I'm saying? All these people be talking about they adapts. I can't tell. I can't tell they no adapt. And the second they blow on me with that, well, you ain't no adapt. Yeah, that's an excuse not to answer my question. You're trying to keep something secret. The secrets is over with. This is the learning age. This is the time that everything that's been hidden will manifest to the light. So all them adapts need to be giving them secrets up that they think that they have, which ain't no secret to me. They not no true adapts. Because somebody take you in the back room and do a little ritual with you and tell you you're an adapt now. That don't make you no adapt. I'm an adapt. From the time I came out my mama's womb, I've been going through different adapt chambers. I used to sell drugs at one time. I learned to put my foot on my lower self. I don't sell drugs no more. I completed the adapt chamber. I used to gang bang at one time. I stopped gang banging. I put my foot on my lower self. That was the adapt chamber I went through. I used to steal at one time. I learned to put my foot on my lower self and stop stealing. That was the adapt chamber in my life. I've been going through adapt chambers my entire period that I've been in existence on this plane. And if a person that's talking about their adapt think they become an adapt by going in the back room, That right there in itself lets you know that they not no adapt because they don't truly understand. You've been going through adapt chambers from the time you was born. God is molding you and grooming you into your understanding of things. And that comes from living. You see what I'm saying? Look at all our seniors that went through the early 40s and 50s and early 60s. They went through adapt chambers dealing with these Europeans. Their understanding is different when it comes to racism in America because they came through the racism. They seen it. They know what it's like. They done had dogs suck on them. They done had water, been shot with water hoses, spit on them, hit with bricks and bottles, all kind of things. These people not soft as I don't know what. Now we as Moorish Americans, I'm gonna tell you, we claim to be so knowledgeable and have so much sense, but this is what I tell you. I got right now, right this moment, just from going on Facebook a little bit and listening to what different Moors are saying and different things and watching how Moors interact with one another right now, I can safely stand here and tell you that I have more respect for Negroes than Moors right now. And I'm gonna tell you why. Negroes stuck together. Moors don't stick together. Negroes stuck together in the 60s. They was together. They was unified. They stood for something. If you was traveling and that sun got ready to go down, you could stop at anybody, any one of your people's houses that looked like you and they was gonna bring you in. Because they knew if you stay on that road, these people gonna kill you if they catch you out at night. They got some laws called the sundown laws. You can look it up. You better not get caught outside after sundown. They out hunting, looking for niggas. Back in the 60s, if you ran out of gas, our people would stop you. What's wrong? You ain't got no gas? Give you $5, give you their address, and guess what you do? You get your gas, and when you got the $5 back, you melt it back to them. Negroes had some unity and love for each other. I don't see that with these Moors right now. I don't see it. You come to a Moor with your hand out, you talking about what grandbody you part of, who your chick is. Man, what is you talking about? You don't see this fans on my head? I'm your brother.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you have any respect for present day Negroes?
No. Because they African Americans and blacks now.
Right. Okay.
See, blacks and African Americans don't have unity like Negroes had. That's why I say I got respect for Negroes. People can talk their butt off. We as Moors be talking about the NBC, but guess what? The N was okay. Because the N had their own stores at one time. Right? They had their own markets at one time. The N was doing good.
Color.
The Negroes was doing good.
Mm-hmm.
They cared about each other. You never heard about no Negroes shooting each other up in their communities and their neighborhoods. They boxed. If you lost today, then go practice some more, come back and fight them again the next day. They didn't shoot each other and kill each other. See, I'm like the prophet. I study and evaluate and examine things just like he did. See, Moors not thinking. They got to pay attention to their prophet. They need to start examining the condition of our people right now. And they'll start understanding better what they need to be doing. Because we in the time frame and the period that, guess what? More supposed to come into their own. How they gonna come into their own and you got a grand sheik or a sheik over here with all this information that the prophet left and he don't want to share it with the rest of the Moors. He don't want to share it with no other temple. He holding under lock and key. What good do they do us? How we supposed to come in our own and you holding secrets of the prophet, paperwork that the prophet left?
Is that for ego? I mean, is that because of ego and
Exactly.
arrogance
Exactly.
and power?
Exactly.
Control?
Everything that the prophet literature teach you not to do. This is what I'm saying. He got to go in the back seat. It's time. If they don't know what time and age frame we in now, then they don't understand. My phone in there. Then they don't understand. This is not the time frame of secrets. I was talking to a boy the other day. He told me, they asking me questions. I'm answering all their questions. He tell me, he said, oh, we already got that down pat on how to proclaim nationality. I said, how you do that? The man told me, oh, that's a secret. That can't be, I snapped. I said, what you mean that's a secret? What do you mean that's a secret? Do you know what time frame and age you in right now? Ain't no more secrets. We're in a state of emergency. Our children, our babies being killed in the street. What you mean that's a secret? I snapped out on the phone. Man, get out of here. I don't want to hear. It ain't no secret to me because I'm telling you right now, you ain't got no nationality. You are African American that's Moorish conscious if you ain't took no state oath. If you have not pledged no allegiance to no state, which is to pledge allegiance to your people like I explained on this board. If you haven't pledged an oath to your people that you are going to have a back and that you are one of them and get conferred your nationality and accepted by them people as a state, you ain't no nation. You ain't no state. And you ain't no real citizen. You still a 14th Amendment. You're not no Moorish American. And I'm so tired of Moors going, oh, all you gotta do is go in the temple, proclaim your nationality. That's not what the prophet said. He said they're gonna teach you your nationality in the temple. That's not how he told you to get it. Acts 6 is clear. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and divine creed so that they may know that they're not Negro, color, black, or African American. That's a statement that Moorish Science Temple of America, when you become a member, you have to proclaim your nationality, and we're going to teach you your nationality and your divine creed so that you know it. Teach it. He does not say that Moorish Science Temple of America is going to confer any nationality on you. This is clear. But why Moors don't understand this is clear. Because they caught up in the dogma, they done went over in Moorish Science Temple of America and started doing the same thing that our people doing in the Christian church. Going in there listening to the preacher, and he ain't teaching. All he doing is preaching. This is why the prophet say, exercise your five senses. Exercise them. Think for yourself. When you come to this temple is supposed to be teaching you to think for yourself. I done left you instructions. If know what you out here is your prophet and he left you instructions, he say, do as I your prophet. Do as I your prophet. Imitate your prophet. Then he turn around and tell you, I left my footsteps clear, only a fool can err. He's telling you this stuff because he already knew the condition that Moorish Science Temple of America was going to be in later. He already knew it. This is why he say the sheiks can pass their own laws at their temple in Surah 7 in the Quran. Every sheik get to make their own laws at their temple because he already knew it was not going to be unified. That those egos was not going to allow them to come together. Because nobody wanted to surrender the power they got as being the sheik of their temple. And be subject or subordinate to another sheik or grand sheik. Everybody want to have their chest poked out. And ain't nobody making no progress. They think they making progress. The sheiks and the grand sheiks ain't doing nothing. Know who doing it? The prophet. The prophet doing exactly what he said. He said, you're going to need 10 secretaries to write down all the names. He told the sheiks to do their job. Know what their job was? Keep the doors open. They did do that. I honor that. They did do that. But now that you kept the doors open, now that the prophet doing exactly what he said, which is driving them back into the temple, are you keeping them in there? The sheiks ain't keeping them in. They're not keeping them in when they come in. Because they're not coming in to become a slave again. This is why the prophet's saying, be careful, your own brother enslave you again. These people not coming in the temple to go over one-on-ones and go over the Quran and go over the Moorish literature for 5 years. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. I've been a member of this temple for 5 years. We've been going over these in the Divine Constitution for the last 5 years. When are you going to teach me how to go out here in society and take my place in the affairs of men? Because we getting the same lessons over and 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 over. Guess what they do after a while? Same thing people doing in the Christian churches right now. Leaving. Leaving. You still in here preaching that same mess. We've been hearing that since we've been coming here with our grandma. We grown now. You preaching the same thing that you was preaching in this church when we used to come here when we was little babies, when we was little kids coming with Medea. This is the same thing going on in Moore's Sign. Now I hear one sheik. I hear one sheik. Guess what? He teaching. He teaching. That's Tyrone Bey. He teaching. At his temple in Chicago on 79th Street. He teaching. He ain't just, he telling. He trying to wake you up, make you start thinking again. He understand the separation in church and state. And he understand that I'm not saying, he understand I'm saying they go hand in hand. The scale got to be balanced. If the scale ain't balanced, it's off balance. You got to balance the scale. On one side, you got a divine minister that teach you your principle, values, and divine creed and birthright and everything in that temple to get you to stand back upright as a straight, upright citizen again. And you got one that's a member of Moorish Side Temple of America that is demonstrating the national side, the state government side, for us as a nation of people that's pushing the agenda of a nation in the society. And I don't know any more that go against that. It's against us as a nation of people. Because how can you say you are more, but you're against what Cannon Bey talking about? When Cannon Bey talking about separating. We be independent. We don't need them for nothing. This is what I'm telling them. You see what I'm saying? What I'm saying is we should have our own birth certificates, our own car titles, our own registrations, our own plates, our own licenses, our own everything. You shouldn't have to go to them for nothing. If you're a state, this is how I operate. I'm saying out here in this society, if you mess with one of mine, turn them over to me. If you saying he violated some law, turn them over to me because we got laws for what you saying he did. We'll judge our own people. You ain't gonna judge our people no more. And Moors that the Europeans, they put themselves in that Europe, yeah. So you telling me if your child outside playing down the street and the European live down the street, he just come out, take his belt off and whoop your child. You don't care. You don't care. You ain't gonna say nothing. Oh, he's playing on my grass and you just okay with that, huh? So he whoop your child. Because this is what you're doing. Whether they know it or not, every time they say it's okay for the Europeans to punish one of our people that's a Moor, you're showing more and more that you are not a state. Because states are sovereign. And states is who? The people. You're showing you're not a sovereign, autonomous nation of people is what you're showing. Because if you was a sovereign, autonomous nation of people, you would have your own courts. Henceforth would know what you already was talking about when he said what he said. He telling you. Stay out of the European courts. Now, a lot of them will say, he was just telling you don't break no laws. You say that because you don't have no understanding of government and statehood and being a national citizen. That's why you say that. He's telling you don't break no laws. That's a lie. That's not what he was telling you. And the way you know that's not what he's telling you, because he also tell you this in the Moorish literature. It'll surprise him if a Moor would do right. So he let you know right there, he already know you're going to do some wrong. If he say it'll surprise him that if you would do right, he already know you would do wrong. So it ain't the fact that he telling you don't break no law. What he's trying to tell you is you got to establish your own court. You must have your own courts. Okay? So now, the prophet say this. He say, a child will go in and come out of ward of the state. A mother go in and come out of guardian. A father go in and come out as a felon. And a Moorish American will go in there and come back out as a Negro, colored, black, or African American. So what win do you have in that court? None. Because if you are a true Moorish American, that means you are a national citizen. And if you are a national citizen, you're supposed to have your own courts. Bottom line, period. That's why I say anymore, I'm prepared. I'm ready. I'm divinely prepared just like the prophet was divinely prepared. My God divinely prepared me for this, what I'm doing right now. I don't care what none of them say. If they talk against, they ask me, well, where you get your authority from? If you got to ask me that question, you don't know. You're not studying your lessons. The power and authority come from my creator, Allah. Where you get your power and authority from? Where do you get it from? Just the fact you got to ask me where I got it from, I know you ain't well trained in your studies. Get back in your lessons. Man, Moors got to come together. Bottom line, period. And ain't nothing but one temple. A Moor asked me that the other day, hey, what temple you go to? Moorish Science Temple of America? Yeah, but which one you go to? Moorish Science Temple of America. I can go to any temple. You can't box me in with no one particular temple. It ain't nothing but one temple to me. Well, who your sheik is? All of them. All of them, my sheik. Well, who your grand sheik is? All of them. Everybody that's the grand sheik. It's real simple. These is basic civics that they keep claiming that they understand, but they've proven they don't understand. Because basic civics, when you learn basic civics, you find out and learn your family is your race. If my family is my race, I'm welcome anywhere my family at. Y'all say y'all some Moors? Okay, I can come over here. Y'all say this a Moor Science Temple? Okay, I'm welcome here. This thing real simple for me. But it's simple for me because of the understanding that Allah blessed me with and the understanding He blessed me to have from reading the prophet's literature, from reading that Bible, from reading that Quran, from reading that Circle 7 Quran, from reading Buddha and Confucius lessons and teachings. See, a lot of Moors talk that mess, but they ain't even, a lot of them not reading Buddha and Confucius, and your prophet told you we honor all the divine prophets. So that means study all their lessons. You done read one or two books. You read the Bible, you read the Quran, and then you probably read the Bible. What about Buddha book? What about Confucius book? Why you ain't read them? How you gonna really get in tune with your inner self without reading Buddha and Confucius? You see what I'm saying? The teachers and the lessons of them. The Europeans didn't get in China. They didn't rape China. That's why you hear Masons say what? You traveling from the west to the east or from the east to the west? You have to know and understand. They didn't get in China. All them lessons is intact. All them divine lessons and teachers is intact. And no, I ain't been in no China. But I'm in tune. I'm one with my creator though. I'm in unison and harmony with the creator.
Did they try to get into China with the drugs, the opium, and they kicked them out, didn't they?
I don't know. I ain't gonna tell you what I don't know for sure.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I know they tried to get in China a lot of times. They never got in China. But if you pick up the Quran telling you why. You see what I'm saying? So, this is what I want to tell Moors and everybody. I'm going to tell you who God is. Listen close. God, Allah, is a man. He was the first one of us to create organization and laws to stop a chaotic and a society living in chaos. God is the creator of the first law to create order. That's who the creator is. This is why I say if you want to have godly wisdom, You must study the written law. God is the creator of law. All law. All law. Ain't no such thing as them European laws. You don't have no knowledge or understanding of the law as soon as you say those European laws. How could those be European laws when we went to Europe in 711 AD and they couldn't even read or write? And you taught them everything they know. How that's their law? See, that's nonsense, not common sense. Every time somebody say that, I just look at them like they lost their mind. Do you know what you've been talking about, brother? All the law come from God. Every law on this planet, every constitution come from God. Because God is inside each one of us. So if the Creator is inside you, when you writing law, you write laws with a righteous heart to do good. For the good of mankind. If you are a person that's in tune and in touch with your Creator. So any laws that's written that are not righteous or just laws is laws being written by somebody who is Satan. And Satan don't mean nothing but adversary. So they're the adversary of what's good. They're the adversary of what's good. That's what Satan is, the adversary. God is good. Hear him say in the church, God is good all the time. Yeah, all the time. And you got to line up with that law. And you got to understand the foundation of it all. That Bible ain't trick nobody. They wasn't supposed to understand it until now. He said it in the book. I placed the veil over the book. Ain't nobody going to understand the true meaning of it till later when I start revealing it. This the later. He revealing the truth of the book now. Right in that Bible it says, if you circumcise, Jesus ain't no benefit to you. How they trick you? It said it right in the book. They know how they trick you? Because you've been going to church sitting there listening to a preacher. And not really reading the book for yourself. To see what you need to see in it. All you've been seeing and reading is what the preacher been giving you. So that's the parts you've been reading. So if right in the Bible it's saying clear as day, if you circumcise, Jesus ain't no benefit to you. Why you running around here hollering Jesus? Instead of talking to Allah like you supposed to be. You see what I'm saying? You're not paying attention. Jesus is talking to two different nations of people. Sometimes he's talking to the Europeans. Sometimes he's talking to us. And we ain't doing nothing that he's teaching as a nation of people. Because if we understood them lessons in that Bible, we can line up straight. Because the Quran is to get you out your slave mentality and out that mental form of slavery. That Quran that Noble Jew Ali bought is to resurrect your mind. That's what that Circle 7 Quran is for. That Noble Jew Ali bought. It's to resurrect your mind from slavery, from a slave type of thinking and mentality. And align you back up with those divine principles of our forefathers. And the divine lessons and teachings of life. And how to live. That Bible is the foundation of law. Yeah, we know it was written in certain... Yeah, we know all that. Yeah, we know they plagiarized and all that, but guess what? None of that matter. Oh, Abraham was a fictitious character. He wasn't even real. None of that matter. Oh, there ain't no such person as Jesus. None of that matter. You need to be paying attention to what this law saying here. Because that's what's applying right now in this society. This whole society, the way that they run law in this country is from the foundation of the Bible. If you don't get the foundation down pat of how things go to give you the correct understanding when you're viewing the law, how you going to view the law in the right? To be able to wield that sword. You can't wield a sword because your understanding off because you ain't read this book. And when you're reading it the wrong way. So you'll never get the right understanding of law. So, we gotta understand, and like I said, you know, a lot of Moors talk nonsense and they're not using common sense. They're not exercising their 5 senses that the prophet gave you. Prime example, you got some Moors saying you gotta naturalize. Why do you have to naturalize in the 14th Amendment? So-called Negro, colored, black, and African American people, and including Moors, would never have to naturalize. That's the purpose of the 14th Amendment. We don't have to go there and take no state oath to be no U.S. citizen. They already made you a U.S. citizen with the 14th Amendment. You're already that U.S. citizen with the small c. You're going to go take an oath to become something they done already made you with the small c? You got more talking about, well, you got to take the oath of amnesty and reconstruction. You's a damn lie. What the oath of amnesty and reconstruction got to do with me? We fought with the North. The oath of amnesty and reconstruction is for the Southerners who committed an act of treason against the government, and they made them take that oath to allow them to come back into the Union. To come back in to be part of the government again, the United States. The oath of amnesty and reconstruction is written for those Southern slave masters. And that 13th Amendment with them 20 sections is something that those slave masters down there wrote. It don't apply to us. I don't care nothing about no 13th Amendment with 20 sections. They did right to burn it up. You need to read it. They did right to burn it up. If you understand law, you understand why they burnt it up in the first place. Because it's some BS. It's some BS. It would create major chaos in this country. Major chaos. And it got longitudes and latitudes in there for anybody that want to read it. You read it and look up the longitudes and latitudes, you'll see that it's the southern states. It's not even talking about the northern states. It's the southern states. And this is what I mean by Moors is reading law, but their perspective can be tainted or be wrong according to their perception that they've been given by their teacher. And every teacher can only teach according to the knowledge and wisdom that he had. Not to say that at the time when he was teaching you, what he was teaching you was wrong, but now in this time that things are being revealed to the light, that's wrong.
It's obsolete.
You see what I'm saying? It's wrong. It's dead out wrong. But he can only teach you to the knowledge and information that he was able to acquire. So at that time, he might have thought, yeah, we got to take an oath for amnesty and reconstruction, and we got to go take an oath to be U.S. citizen. We got to naturalize it. He might have thought that was correct. That's incorrect. That is incorrect. When you take that oath, you're shedding and giving up your birthright as a Moorish American. Because other people, when they come here for other countries, what they're giving up is their nationality for what? U.S. citizenship. To become a corporate citizen in America. They're giving up their nationality from their country. They're no longer being national citizens. They are now a corporate citizen. And international law addressed that too. You are not no true state citizen being a corporate citizen. A corporate citizen. And a corporate citizen is somebody that's been naturalized. Because that state or whoever is conferring a nationality upon you. And they got the right to say what type of nationality they're conferring on you. The state determines who it wants to be its citizens and who it don't want to be. The state also determines who it wants to be its nationals. And they write it in their law. A national of the United States of American Republic are Moorish American people, Aboriginal people, the native-born people. It's all in what you write in your law, but it got to be written in there by state government And a state, which is a state, the government is acting on behalf of the people themselves, that's the state, and that government is writing into its laws who the people themselves is saying that they recognize as being their national. You got boys out there telling boys, oh, all you got to do is file an ad in the paper. That's a lie. A proclamation of nationality, that's all you got to do. It don't matter if they acknowledge it or not. The law say all you got to do is give them notice. That's a lie. That's called an assumption in law. You making assumptions. You ain't proving nothing. You just making statements. That's my car he driving. Because I proclaim that, do that make that my car? No, we got to see who got the title. Same thing when they proclaiming nationality. Think about it. I'm a Moor. I'm a Moorish American. Yeah? Let's check the title. Now, you still the 14th Amendment. I hear what you're saying, but we're checking the title. You're a 14th Amendment. They have what's called loss of nationality laws that apply to a person who has lost their nationality. They're not trying to keep you from getting your nationality, but it's a certain way you have to go about reacquiring your nationality if you was born without one. I understand that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights say that every child born is guaranteed a nationality and a name, but guess what? That don't apply to those who have lost their nationality at birth. They got some more laws for that. You're a stateless person is what you are until you are part of a state and recognized as a national. Now you're a citizen. Now you have your true status. Until then, you just an African American, Moorish conscious, a Christian wrapped up in Moorish garb, some of them. Want to argue you down with the rhetoric of Moorish Science Temple of America. Don't never quote show you no law to back up what they talking about. All they doing is reading the proper literature and dumping that on you, trying to re-enslave you into a mindset of temple. Ain't nobody else out here pushing no temple. Thinking they finna enforce religion on state. You can't do that. In this country, state, church, and state is separate. Bottom line, period. The state can't enforce nothing on the Moorish Science Temple of America. Nothing. And this is where our true power come in at in the temple. But the sheiks got to get the right understanding. So they can demonstrate it the whole measure the correct way. Once they understand, the state can't do nothing to the temple. Because the temple, in this country, the First Amendment is making it clear. Church and state is separate. And then you ask them more, okay, do the United States Constitution apply to us? Yeah. Yeah, it applies. That's what the prophet said. Yeah, okay, if it applies, then how you going to say church and state is not separate when the First Amendment of it say church and state is separate? Nonsense. A perspective of law that's not correct in their understanding of what they're reading. And that interpretation is coming from listening to Moors and sheiks that's teaching wrong teachings because they themselves are not studying international law, which our prophets study. If you don't study international law, you ain't never going to line nothing up to have a right understanding. Because no law gets rid of another law. Okay? It don't make another law invalid over this law. And in law, you got what's called privileges and immunities. So you may have a privilege or immunity that gives you a certain privilege that this law may not apply to you, or give you a certain immunity from this law over here. And if you don't understand property rights and private rights, you lost. So people got to start getting the right understanding, man. They got to get back and start back thinking again. And I'm glad to say that I got more thinking again, at least that I see on Facebook. They thinking again. They researching again. They reading again. They ain't just going in the temple, listen to what the prophet's saying. To what the sheik is saying. They studying the prophet lessons and teachings they self. They digging in. They getting into them law books and studies again. They digging in, trying to learn again. And that's the way it's supposed to be. The prophet said, if I started you to thinking, you will save yourself. Because once you start truly thinking again, you're going to understand that it's about us as a nation and not as an individual. And now we can save ourselves. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. Anything else?